What if I told you that the happiest people in their later years didn't just stumble upon joy by accident? They cultivated it with intention, day after day. Contrary to what many might think, their happiness isn't the result of perfect circumstances, great wealth, or a life untouched by hardship. Instead, it stems from the quiet, powerful wisdom they choose to live by every single day. If you're between the ages of 60 and 80, this chapter of your life holds incredible potential. These years can be among the most deeply fulfilling, joyful, and meaningful you've ever experienced, but only if you approach them with the right mindset. The truth is, while some people enter their later years feeling more content, alive, and at peace than ever before, others find themselves weighed down by loneliness, regrets, and a sense of dissatisfaction. So what makes the difference? What is it that the happiest seniors understand that others often overlook? It's not about avoiding pain or difficulty. Those are part of every life, at every stage. The difference lies in perspective, the ability to meet life's changes with grace, to hold on to what truly matters, and to let go of what doesn't. It's about building joy, not waiting for it to arrive. Today we're going to explore 5 powerful life wisdoms, deep, timeless truths that the happiest seniors live by. These aren't just ideas. They're tools that can reshape the way you experience this beautiful and complex stage of life. So stay with me, because by the end of this journey, you might just find yourself seeing these years through a new lens, one that brings you more peace, more purpose, and more joy than you ever imagined possible. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you enjoy this video, please type 1 in the comments. If you don't like it, type 0 in the comments to let me know so I can make better videos for you. Now let's get started. Number 1. Let go of what you can't control. One of the deepest and most persistent sources of stress at any stage of life is the illusion of control. The belief that if we try hard enough, worry long enough, or plan thoroughly enough, we can bend life to our will. But as the years go by, this illusion begins to crack. You start to realize that no matter how much you care, how hard you try, or how deeply you wish things were different, there will always be circumstances, people, and outcomes that remain far beyond your influence. And while this realization can feel unsettling at first, it holds the key to a deeper, more lasting peace. As you enter your 60s, 70s, or 80s, life has a way of teaching you what really matters and what doesn't. Your body may change in ways you didn't anticipate. The world may feel faster, louder, and sometimes unfamiliar. People you love may drift away or make choices that don't reflect your hopes or values. Even those closest to you, your children, grandchildren, siblings, or friends, may not always behave in ways you understand. And yet, amidst all this change, some people find not despair, but serenity. Why? Because they've learned the quiet power of surrender. Not surrender as defeat, but as wisdom. The wisdom to stop wrestling with what can't be changed and to start focusing on what can. Think back to a time in your life when you were consumed with worry. Perhaps a situation with a family member, a health scare, or a challenge that kept you up at night. You may have replayed conversations in your head, imagined dozens of possible outcomes, tried to predict or fix every detail, and in the end, what did it change? Likely very little. But what it did affect was your peace of mind. All that mental and emotional energy was spent not on solving the issue, but on feeding your own anxiety. The truth is, there is only one area where you hold consistent, meaningful power: your response. You may not control the circumstances, but you always control your perspective. You may not choose what happens, but you choose what it means to you and how you move forward from it. Letting go isn't giving up. It's a shift in focus, from resistance to resilience. It means learning to accept what you cannot change without bitterness and instead placing your time and energy where it counts. Your habits, your attitude, your daily choices, and the people and values you choose to prioritize. Consider Paul, a 74-year-old father who spent years feeling forgotten by his adult children. He sat by the phone day after day, aching for a call that didn't come, convincing himself that he was being left behind. But one day, instead of continuing to stew in silence, he made a decision. He began reaching out first, sending short messages, initiating conversations, and expressing love without strings attached. Slowly but surely, his relationships began to shift. Not because his children suddenly became more attentive, but because he changed his approach. He found peace not in waiting, but in acting, in letting go of resentment and leaning into love. This is the heart of it. Happiness in your later years is not about clinging more tightly to the things slipping beyond your grasp. It's about loosening your grip, stepping back, and recognizing that peace isn't in control, it's in choosing where to place your energy. You may not be able to change how fast the world moves or how others behave, but you can take care of your health. You can choose kindness. You can create beauty in your daily life. You can be the one who smiles first, who forgives sooner, who lets go faster. And in doing so, you create space. Space for joy, for freedom, and for the grace that allows you to enjoy this chapter of life not with frustration, but with deep, soul-filling contentment. Number 2. Prioritize connection over loneliness. As we grow older, one of the most silent yet powerful challenges we face is loneliness. It doesn't arrive all at once. It creeps in slowly, subtly, often so gradually that you may not even realize how isolated you've become. Friends move away, loved ones pass on, and family members become absorbed in their own busy lives. The once bustling social circle you once had might shrink, leaving a void in its place. One day you might look around and notice that the once lively rhythm of your days has softened into a quiet, persistent stillness. The phone rings less often, the house feels a bit too quiet, and your world, once filled with interaction, laughter, and activity, starts to shrink. It's a feeling many seniors know all too well. Loneliness is a reality that sneaks up on you, often without warning. It doesn't scream for attention, it whispers gently and relentlessly over time. It may not seem alarming at first, but it can grow, like a shadow that slowly darkens your life. Before long, the quiet starts to feel oppressive. Your social circle narrows and the days stretch out, sometimes feeling a bit too long. You might find yourself spending entire days alone, perhaps in front of the TV or with your own thoughts, which might start to feel like the only company you have. But here's the truth. While loneliness may come knocking, you don't have to let it settle in. The happiest people between 60 and 80 don't simply accept isolation as a fact of life. Instead, they recognize the importance of staying connected to the world around them. They understand that relationships and social engagement are not just beneficial. They are essential for maintaining a fulfilling, meaningful life. The happiest seniors are the ones who take intentional steps to stay connected, to keep their social world alive, and to nurture the bonds that bring joy and meaning to their days. Human beings are fundamentally wired for connection. It's not just a luxury or something that's nice to have. It's a biological and emotional necessity. Countless studies show that meaningful relationships can improve mental and physical health, boost longevity, and even help guard against memory loss and cognitive decline. Being around others, sharing experiences, and engaging in social interactions help to create a sense of purpose and fulfillment that is difficult to replicate in isolation. Yet staying connected doesn't happen by accident. It requires effort, action, and an active commitment to stepping out of the comfort zone, especially when it feels like the easier choice is to withdraw into solitude. Think about it this way. It's easy to sit back and allow loneliness to grow, especially when the energy to take initiative feels drained. The quiet can start to feel comfortable, and in some ways it feels easier to avoid the discomfort of socializing. But true connection requires a willingness to make the first move. It's about being brave enough to walk into a room full of strangers, to pick up the phone or to try something new, even when it feels easier to stay home and keep to yourself. Take Helen, for example. At 78, after the death of her husband, Helen found herself slowly drifting into solitude. At first she welcomed the quiet. It gave her space to grieve, to process, and to adjust to a new phase in her life. But as time passed, that quiet began to feel heavy. It wasn't peaceful anymore. It started to feel like a weight, pressing down on her spirit. She realized that while she needed time to mourn, she also needed to re-engage with life and others. She missed the interaction, the conversations, the laughter, the sense of being part of something bigger than herself. One day, Helen made a decision to step outside of her comfort zone. She joined a local book club, something she'd always been curious about but never had the time to explore. Then, encouraged by a neighbor, she signed up for a gentle community exercise class. These small steps at first felt like a challenge, but soon she realized that her days were beginning to fill up again, not just with activities, but with connection. She wasn't trying to recreate the past. She was building something new. And in doing so, she rediscovered a sense of vitality and excitement that she thought had left her forever. Slowly, she started to form new friendships, share new stories, and most importantly, re-engage with the world around her. Number 3. Focus on growth, not just survival. Reaching your later years doesn't mean that your days of growth are behind you. In fact, for the happiest people between the ages of 60 and 80, growth is not just possible, it's essential. These individuals understand a profound truth. Personal development is not a phase reserved for youth, but a lifelong journey that continues as long as you're willing to engage with it. Unfortunately, many people find themselves in a quiet rut as they age. They wake up, go through the same motions, and slowly begin to feel like life is something that's simply happening around them, rather than something they're actively engaging in. They drift into routines that lack excitement, wonder, or challenge. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and before they know it, the days slip by without a sense of purpose or fulfillment. But the happiest seniors, the ones who smile more, laugh often, and wake up with a sense of excitement, are the ones who make the choice to continue growing. They refuse to see this season of life as a winding down of their abilities or passions. Instead, they view aging as an opportunity to explore new parts of themselves, to continue evolving in ways that surprise them. Take Richard, for instance. At 72, he had checked every box that life demanded. He built a successful career, raised a family, and fulfilled his responsibilities with grace. But once he retired, he was confronted with an unexpected emptiness. Without the structure of a job and the daily duties of parenthood, Richard found himself feeling adrift. For a while, he wondered if this was simply what aging felt like, drifting from one day to the next without much excitement or direction. It would have been easy for him to sink into monotony and pass the years in a comfortable routine. But Richard chose a different path. He decided to pursue growth. He dusted off an old dream that had been shelved for decades, the piano. When he was younger, life was just too busy to learn an instrument. But now, with more time and fewer distractions, he picked up the piano and began learning. At first, the progress was slow and he stumbled through basic chords and simple melodies. But over time, something beautiful happened. He began to feel truly alive again. The piano didn't just fill his afternoons, it reignited his passion for learning, gave him a reason to stretch beyond his comfort zone, and brought joy into his life. Every note played, every new song learned was a reminder that growth doesn't stop as we age. It can be a continuous process, as long as we are open to it. Growth doesn't always have to mean mastering a new instrument or undertaking a major challenge. It could be as simple as picking up a paintbrush and trying your hand at art, joining a local hiking group, or writing your life story. Perhaps it's learning how to use a new piece of technology or exploring a subject you've always been curious about. Maybe it's traveling to a place you've never been, starting a small garden, or diving into books that stir your imagination and inspire you. The key here is to keep evolving. It's not about grand gestures, it's about making the decision every day to try something new, to stretch yourself, and to continue discovering. When you actively choose to expand your mind and your experiences, you send yourself a powerful message that your best days are not behind you, they're still unfolding. Growth at any age is a reminder that we are still capable of learning, creating, and accomplishing. It's about defying the notion that aging means slowing down. Instead, it's about embracing the fact that life has a rhythm of continuous growth that can be experienced at every stage, and it's never too late to tap into it. There's also real science behind this idea. Studies consistently show that seniors who stay mentally and physically active reduce their risk of cognitive decline and live longer, healthier, and more fulfilling lives. Lifelong learning has been linked to better memory, lower stress levels, and greater emotional resilience. But beyond the statistics, the emotional payoff of growth is equally important. There's something deeply satisfying about proving to yourself that you are still capable of learning, creating, and doing. Every new skill, every fresh perspective, and every small accomplishment reminds you that you are still growing, and therefore still deeply engaged in life. Even the most seemingly insignificant achievements, like learning how to make a new dish, getting the hang of a new app on your phone, or mastering a craft, can have a lasting impact on your emotional well-being. They show you that you are not merely surviving. You are thriving, evolving, and pushing the boundaries of what you thought was possible. Number 4. Choose people who lift you up. As you grow older, one of the most powerful decisions you can make is to be intentional about the people you allow into your life. In your younger years, relationships often develop by default. through work, school, neighbors, or shared activities. But in your later years, you have both the time and the wisdom to be more selective. You understand that your emotional energy, time, and well-being are precious, and you have a deeper awareness that the people around you can either elevate you or drain you. The happiest people over 60 know this truth and live by it. They prioritize surrounding themselves with individuals who radiate positivity, authenticity, and kindness. Think about the people you spend time with and how they make you feel. When you're in the company of someone who listens with compassion, laughs with ease, and shares your sense of wonder for life, how do you feel afterward? Energized, uplifted, and inspired. These kinds of relationships nourish your spirit, fill you with joy, and create a sense of belonging. On the other hand, when your company consists of someone who constantly complains, engages in gossip, or dwells on negativity, you may leave feeling drained, like your energy has been siphoned away. Over time, these types of encounters begin to add up, affecting your mindset, your outlook on life, and even your physical health. Take Helen, for example. At 74, she had a group of friends she'd known for years. However, over time, she noticed that their gatherings had become emotionally taxing. Conversations were dominated by complaints about their bodies, their children, their frustrations with society, and longing for the good old days. The atmosphere was heavy, and the conversations were always tinged with negativity. Helen began to dread these gatherings. Then by chance she reconnected with an old friend from her teaching days, someone who still spoke with passion about books, ideas, and her dreams of visiting new places. Their conversations were full of laughter, gratitude, and curiosity about the world. Helen left those chats feeling invigorated, feeling alive again, and that's when it clicked. Who you spend your time with deeply affects how you experience life. It can either leave you feeling lighter and more hopeful or burdened and weighed down. This isn't to say that you should abruptly sever ties with people who may not always be the most uplifting. We all go through tough times, and sometimes we lean on those we love for support. But it does mean being more mindful about where you invest your emotional energy. In your later years, it becomes crucial to prioritize spending time with those who nourish your soul, who challenge you to grow, and who genuinely celebrate your victories and comfort you through struggles. These people who are not only kind but also enthusiastic about living life to the fullest are the ones you want to surround yourself with. Their energy is contagious, and they help bring out the best in you. There's more than just emotional logic to this. Science supports the importance of positive relationships too. Research consistently shows that seniors with strong, positive social networks enjoy better mental health, lower stress levels, and even have a reduced risk of dementia and other age-related cognitive issues. In fact, meaningful connections are just as important to longevity as physical exercise and a healthy diet. When you laugh with someone, when you feel seen, heard, and valued, your body releases endorphins that reduce pain, boost your immune system, and elevate your mood. It's no wonder that some of the happiest and healthiest people are those who nurture relationships that make them feel supported, loved, and appreciated. Connection, truly, is medicine. So take a moment to reflect on the relationships in your life. Who fills your cup? Who encourages your dreams and supports your well-being? Who makes you feel lighter, more optimistic, and genuinely cared for? On the other hand, who consistently leaves you feeling anxious, smaller, or emotionally depleted? The happiest seniors are not necessarily those who have the most people in their lives, but rather those who have the right people. Those who add value to their lives, support their growth, and help them find joy, even in the smallest moments. Choose wisely. Prioritize the people who make you feel good about yourself, who are excited about life, and who help you see the beauty and potential in each new day. Nurture the relationships that bring warmth, laughter, and inspiration. And gently but firmly, let go of those that consistently cloud your peace, drain your energy, or weigh you down. At this stage of life, every moment is precious, and you deserve to spend it with people who lift you up. Surround yourself with those who inspire you to be your best self. Number 5. Keep learning and challenging yourself. One of the greatest truths about aging gracefully and joyfully is understanding that your mind doesn't retire when your career does. The happiest seniors know this. They don't view their later years as the end of growth, but rather as a new chapter filled with possibility. They stay curious, open, and eager to learn, because they understand that true fulfillment comes from continued mental, emotional, and even spiritual expansion. Life, after all, is not a race to a finish line. It's a constant unfolding of discovery, and when you allow yourself to keep learning, you remain vibrant, no matter your age. Take Robert, for example. After retiring at 68, he initially enjoyed the unhurried mornings and peaceful afternoons, but over time the novelty wore off. The days started to blend together. Something felt off, like a piece of his spark was missing. One day, on a whim, he signed up for a beginner's painting class at the local community center. He had never painted before, never even considered himself creative, but he showed up anyway. At first his brushstrokes were clumsy. His canvases didn't look like much, but he kept going. Slowly, something began to shift. The colors started making sense. The process became meditative. And more importantly, he felt a sense of excitement he hadn't felt in years. Painting gave him a reason to get up with purpose again. It didn't just awaken a new skill, it awakened a new side of himself. That's the magic of learning in your later years. It's not about becoming an expert, it's about feeding your spirit, whether it's taking up a hobby, exploring a new subject, or trying something completely outside your comfort zone. Every challenge you embrace becomes a way to reconnect with life. You're never too old to feel that spark of curiosity again. And the brain, just like the body, thrives on exercise. Studies show that seniors who engage in continuous learning are not only sharper mentally, but also emotionally more resilient. They experience lower rates of depression, improved memory, and even reduced risk of Alzheimer's and dementia. But beyond the science, there's something more powerful at play, something deeply human. Learning keeps you engaged with the world. It reminds you that there are still wonders to explore, skills to master, and dreams worth chasing. Maybe it's learning a new language, trying yoga for the first time, starting a garden, diving into history books, or even writing that novel you've always thought about. The size of the goal doesn't matter. What matters is that it lights something within you. The happiest seniors are not those who have it all figured out. They're the ones who are still asking questions, still stretching their minds, still surprising themselves. They know that curiosity is a muscle, and when you stop using it, it weakens. But when you nurture it, it becomes a source of joy, energy, and lasting fulfillment. So ask yourself, what have you always wanted to learn, but never made time for? What excites you, even if it also scares you a little? Now is not the time to step back, it's the time to step in. Because a curious mind is a youthful mind, and as long as you're learning, you're still growing. And as long as you're growing, you're still truly living. Happiness in your later years isn't a stroke of luck or the result of a perfect past. It's something you intentionally create day by day, moment by moment. It's not about living without challenges, regrets, or loss. It's about choosing how you respond to those experiences and what kind of mindset you carry into each new season of life. The truth is, the most joyful seniors aren't the ones who had the smoothest roads. They're the ones who learned how to walk through life with grace, perspective, and purpose. They understand that happiness isn't passive. It's something you build. These individuals have made a conscious decision to focus on what truly matters. They prioritize meaningful connections over isolation. They embrace gratitude even when things aren't perfect. They let go of what no longer serves them, whether it's resentment, control, or self-doubt. They stay curious, keep learning, and engage with the world around them. They care for their health, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually too. And most importantly, they don't wait for happiness to show up at their doorstep. They go out and meet it, with open hearts and open minds. Perhaps you found yourself wondering if the best years are behind you. Maybe you felt the slowing down of life, the silence that comes with change, or the ache of missed opportunities. But here's what's real and beautiful. This chapter of life is just as rich, just as important, and just as full of possibility as any that came before. In fact, it may be the most meaningful yet, because now you have the wisdom, the freedom, and the perspective to truly appreciate what matters most. You have more power than you think, the power to shape your mindset, the power to nurture relationships that nourish your soul, the power to wake up each day with purpose, no matter how small. You don't need grand gestures to create happiness. Often it begins with simple, intentional actions, a walk with a friend, a new book, a moment of reflection, a phone call, a deep breath. So ask yourself honestly, which of these life wisdoms have you already embraced, and which ones could bring more joy into your world if you gave them more space? Take a step, even a small one. Write that letter, join that group. Let go of that old resentment. Learn something new. Laugh more. Worry less. Begin where you are, with what you have. Because no matter your age, today is still full of potential. And happiness isn't just a memory from the past. It can be something you actively create in the present. You deserve a life filled with peace, connection, and purpose, and it's never too late to begin building it.